It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Well, folks, I've been telling you, November 4th is the most important day, I think, this year. It's Election Day. A lot of things are going to happen, folks, with this election. I encourage all of you, please get out and vote. Now, bringing information to you, I've said before, I always like to bring both sides be fair and balanced. Let me go back to when I had Governor Corbett on the Sam Lesante Show, which we played probably the better part of the state of Pennsylvania. We did make calls to Mr. Wolf, okay, and we did ask him to come on the show. We have not received any response as of today. Also, when Secretary of Revenue Dan Muser was on, he explained facts. Once again, I said to you, if there's any one of you who saw the show who think there's some facts that are not being correct, please email me at sam@ssptv.com. Today, we're going to continue on to educate you folks, and we're going to talk about facts. If you feel any of these three people are telling you something that is not factual, please get to me ASAP, because these shows are running before the election. Now, very happy to have on the show representatives from the state of Pennsylvania, Tarah Toohil, Jerry Knowles, and Mike Tobash. Folks, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Good.
And it's a tribute to you three, because it's not good for me, but the three of you are running unopposed. See, when I like composition, this way I get advertising dollars. You see what I mean? You guys are not helping me out at all. But seriously, this is, I applaud the three of you, first of all, the fact that you have built up that credibility that you do not have opposition, so they mean that you guys are doing the job. Let's talk about, Tarah, let me talk to you first. When you came on, which is 4 years ago, I would assume, right? You inherited from the state of Pennsylvania, you inherited a $4.2 billion debt, okay?
Correct.
This is $4.2 billion that was left to the citizens, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which Tom Wolf was Secretary of Revenue for those 2 years of that debt, okay? Now, so Corbett comes on. Tell me why, what you've seen, Tarah, in working with Governor Corbett, and what he has done.
Well, what's important, so we got rid of that $4.2 billion deficit. We had under Governor Rendell, we had unfortunately had 7 years of the budgets not being on time. So that means everybody stays in Harrisburg longer and later, and you know, the state police troopers, there was a budget impasse at one point where they weren't getting paid, and it really was a big fiscal mess in Harrisburg. So we've been able to turn that around with the Republican House of Representatives, with my wonderful colleagues that I get to work with day in and day out. We were able to pass on-time budgets. The governor signed those on-time budgets. And the most important part, it got rid of that tax and spend mentality. Tax, spend, spend. That's the way things have been running. And that all came to a halt. So we really were able to turn things around. So one thing with the governor, he's not a warm, fuzzy guy. He's not somebody that people are saying, oh, I'd love to have him over for coffee. They're saying, oh, I'd like to have the other guy, whatever it might be. But you elected a prosecutor. You elected someone. He was a guy that was putting legislators away in prison for corruption. I mean, he's a prosecutor. So he came in and he's doing exactly what he told people he was going to do. So like him or not, he's getting that job done. And we're in a better place. Unemployment is down. You're not getting taxed to death. So, I mean, do you want government to run like a business? Do you want to continue the way we're going, making progress and doing better? So that's what I tell people out there. I'm like, what is it that you want? You want to elect something. I mean, it's great to say, oh, we're going to change things. Oh, let's make it better. Well, we are changing things and we are making things better, and we want to proceed in that direction.
You know, Jerry, it's funny. When the governor sat where Tarah's sitting, I said to him, it's funny, you said you were going to run, and you said you were going to do certain things, okay? And you did them, okay? You wiped out the $4.2 billion debt. Let's talk about education, because I literally want to throw up.
Okay,
when I really want to throw up when I see the commercial. And with all due respect to Tom Wolf, I think they are lying when they're saying that the governor cut education. It's the furthest from the truth. Please tell me if I'm wrong on that issue.
No, you're absolutely right. But before we go there, Sam, I was in the legislature. I came in a special election, and I spent 1.5 years under the Rendell administration. And I think what is just as important as the fact that in the 8 years of the Rendell administration, we went from $20 billion to $28 billion a year in terms of increasing the budget. That means an average of $1 billion a year, the Rendell administration increased the budget. So, I mean, when you think about that in itself, and then when you think about the fact is what the governor did what he said he was going to do. That's exactly what he did, and I just, yeah, you know, and I just don't understand when some people that they're so upset with them, and I think it's because of misinformation.
Sure.
That's been given out there. But education is a perfect example.
Now let's talk about education.
Well, they run these ads constantly that the budget that the governor cut billions of dollars in education. It's absolutely false. Anybody that knows anything about the process knows that there was a 2-year period when there were stimulus dollars. I think it was somewhere near $2 billion in stimulus funds. I remember being in the legislature. I wrote a letter at that time to each and every one of the superintendents for the schools that I represent. And I told them, this is stimulus dollars. It's going to go away in 2 years. Don't bake it into your budget. Don't use it, use it for one-time expenses, things that you may need, but recognize that this money is going to go away. And the money did go away.
And that's federal and from President Obama.
Right.
So that's why you're able to twist things and say, put on an ad. Like my family was watching TV last night and they were like, how much of this is true? Because nobody knows what to believe. Like one ad says one thing and the other one says the complete opposite.
Let's go back to the education bill, and as I mentioned, and please again, correct me if I'm wrong. Let's say education was getting $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. The stimulus comes in, and they give him $100,000 each year. Okay, so they $150,000. I'm just using numbers. The stimulus goes away. Now Corbett says, well, you were getting 50, but he increased that 50 to maybe 60. Okay, to me, that's an increase because that was found money. It was a windfall. Mm-hmm. Now he's at a point where education the bill is more than it ever was in the history of the state of Pennsylvania for the educators, including the stimulus money that was there. So he put the stimulus money back in, plus it's the highest it's ever been. Am I correct, Mike, in saying that?
Yes, Sam.
Okay.
So
we're going to get to you, Mike, on this important...
Because it goes right into what Representative Tobash is leading on.
Yeah.
Here's what I equate it to, Sam. It would be like if you had a good year here at the station, and you said to your employees, I'm going to give you a bonus this year. I'm going to give you a $2,000 bonus. Mm-hmm. They would be very thankful, I would hope.
Yeah.
But then next year, you don't have such a good year. So you only give them a small raise that you can afford to give them. And then they run around complaining to everybody that you cut their pay.
Yeah.
This is the same thing.
Yeah. That's the hypocrisy I'm seeing, and that's why I'm having these shows and stressing people, because if they think that I'm saying or you're saying something wrong, I'd like to know the other side of the facts. One of the concerns the senior citizens have, we talk about education, unemployment, for example. He inherits an 8.1% unemployment in the state of Pennsylvania. Governor Corbett inherits 8.1% unemployment. It's the lowest now it's ever been, I think, in about 2-3 years. Is that correct?
It is. It's gone down. And we actually were just at an event with the Tobash company, and that's what they were talking about, because you go to the employers and they say, we have no good workers. I can't find somebody to work. And then you talk to people on the street and they're saying, I'm looking for a job. So we're trying, as a legislature, we're trying to make sure that all that jobs money, all that workforce development training is going in the right place, because children should be coming right out of high school and they should have skills that make them employable, because there are jobs out there. We're just not connecting that link. So we have been able to make big inroads. Unemployment is down. We're putting people back to work. We're getting people off of welfare. I mean, you hear welfare fraud all the time. Under Governor Rendell, unfortunately, they used to just rubber stamp everything. And then if you committed fraud, they would prosecute you on the back end. And here, I mean, we're trying to make reform with a Republican governor, Republican House, and a Republican Senate. So I fear if we have a change in the governorship, any kind of inroads we've been making with welfare reform, it'll be $1 billion more for welfare this year, and it's not helping people. It's not helping the children that are in poverty right here in Hazleton and across northeastern Pennsylvania.
Folks, I'm talking to Representatives Tarah Toohil, Jerry Knowles, and Mike Tobash. Now, we didn't talk to Mike. When we come back, it's going to be a very important discussion, because this is something that's affecting everyone. You know, you hear about raising taxes, property taxes. Well, there's a reason for that. Tobash has a bill, an amendment to a bill that I think is going to be very effective. The governor is endorsing. I think most of the legislators are endorsing it as well. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember, ssptv.com, we show all of our shows. And I want to welcome all those new viewers we're having in the Harrisburg area, Allentown, and Bethlehem Easton on RSCN and Service Electric Cablevision. Comcast in Harrisburg is, of course, on our regular systems here in Wilkes-Barre, Kingston, and Mountain Top. We're now hitting close to over 1 million households. Thanks for making the Sam Lesante Show the #1 talk show in Northeastern Pennsylvania. I really appreciate it. Now, folks, November 4th, don't get mad at me because I'm bringing all these people on the show talking about facts. I don't like people who lie, folks. You know that. Senior citizens have been lied to over and over again. Do not let special interests tell you how to vote. Please. Look at the candidates. Do your homework. Today, my guests are Representatives Tarah Toohil, Jerry Knowles, and Mike Tobash. Governor Corbett says pension reform equals property tax relief. What is the connection between rising pension costs and increases in our local property taxes? Remember, folks, you're hearing ads that the property taxes were increased, not because of Governor Corbett. So we have Mike Tobash here. Mike, tell us what is going on, why these two things are intertwined, and here again, he gets blamed for property taxes. How does this all thing work?
Well, Sam, I mean, you're right, and the governor's right. He understands the budgets in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and so do my colleagues. Look, the biggest protuberance in the state of Pennsylvania, the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb, is the massive amount of pension debt that we've got right now in our public pension systems. We're underfunded by about $50 billion. $50 billion of debt within these systems is going to cause the employer contribution, which is owed by the taxpayers, to increase rapidly over the next couple of years and stay at a level that is just unrealistic. It's unsustainable. So here's the situation. Right now, our pension obligation, okay, within these programs will be increasing by the year 2018, 2019 by about $3.2 billion. We got less than a $30 billion budget. The pension contribution, the employer contribution, is going to go up by more than 10% of that number within these next 4 years. And you know where it falls? It falls on the taxpayer. And really, a big chunk of this is for our school districts. So it's going to fall on the property taxpayer. Our schools are funded 53% from the state, 46% from property taxpayers. So just do the math. A major part of this pension problem is going to be a property taxpayer problem, and we've got to get a grip on it.
Now, let's go back here, okay? Because when the governor traveled here to Northeastern Pennsylvania to talk about pensions over the summer, he heard from a number of our rural school district officials. They told him that they would be bankrupt in a few years, largely because of the mounting pension payments that are required to make. Now, I'm all for school teachers, and I think anyone who's on a pension right now deserves it. They worked for it. I don't think you should be changing anything for those school teachers who have worked. I support them. Believe me, school teachers are worth their weight in gold. However, I think they're being misled in this election. I think they're being misled. I think they're being told different things that are not right. When you're looking at your amendment, what does your amendment do?
Well, I can tell you what it's designed to do, okay? Number one, it is designed to protect the future of our public education system. Anyone who is saying that we do not have a crisis within our education system because of the huge pension debt does not have the best interests of the future of our public education system at heart. Number two, the program is designed to rescue the benefits that retirees have earned and that people within the systems right now have currently earned.
No one gets hurt.
No, but we need to reduce costs within these systems and develop savings. We're $50 billion in debt. So we're not touching existing employee benefits. We're trying to rescue the benefits that have already been earned through making reform. So I can tell you that as you go down through the groups of people that would be affected by this, I have yet to find an individual that's really opposed for valid reasons. I mean, people are genuinely concerned about their ability to collect what has been promised to them in the future. And you know why? Take a look at Detroit. I mean, there were people 2 months ago that were getting a check in Detroit, and it's less money now. And you know why it's less? Because their public pension system caused them to go bankrupt. There's a problem in Stockholm, California. Listen, there's going to be a problem not too far to the north of here in Scranton. That pension system is only about 29% funded. So we see systematic failures of these political subdivisions because of the huge pension debt, and it is not thoughtful for us to right now not work on reform, not work on reducing costs within the systems. You're right, Sam. I got to tell you, I believe in the future of public education, and I believe that it is in great peril if we don't get a grip on this debt.
So why are the special interests, okay? And a lot of my friends are teachers, and I have friendly debates with them, okay? They think Corbett is not their friend. They think Corbett is horrendous to school teachers, which, I mean, we have a person in, I read when Dan Muser was on the show, a person in Western Pennsylvania, I'm not voting for Corbett. He doesn't even know who the other guy is, okay? He's just being misled by these untruths that are on the TV ads. And here again, they're twisting stuff. So why is it? Any one of you could answer this question.
Well, I mean, I can understand why educators are upset. I mean, look, they've been through a period of time where they have not received increases in salary generally, and a lot of it goes back to the fact that the pensions are so far underwater. I mean, with this rapid increase, which is going to amount to 32% of payroll for every $100 that an educator receives, $32 will need to go into the pension system. That's unsustainable in the private sector. It's causing great pressure on our public education system. What we're seeing is lack of new hiring. We're seeing as teachers retire, new hires are not being made. We're narrowing curriculum because of this great debt, because of the increasing expense. We're having larger class sizes. All these things, many of these things are a result of this huge debt that has been accumulated over these last number of years. Really, the path that we're on right now started in 2001 with Act 9, and there was a couple of votes after that. So we didn't get here overnight. We're not going to get out of this situation overnight, but what we need to do is be thoughtful about managing ourselves. We need to develop savings in the programs. So if you're an educator and you're in the program right now, if you're an educator right now, you've seen what has happened in the recent past, and I'm sure you're frustrated. But doing nothing, status quo, is not the answer. We need to make reform.
And that's a big part of it is since you're looking at the budget, say the state gives all this money to education, but so much of it has to go to the pension. So that's less in every budget, no matter how much more we give every year. With this pension crisis, it's less for those children and it's less for that teacher.
So really,
they do feel that they're under
Understand
fire.
the way they feel and understand why.
Yeah.
So, but Jerry, I hear that, Corbett was responsible for 27,000 teachers' jobs. So when you hear something like that, you say, oh my God, he's anti-education. It just drives me crazy.
I have friends that are teachers, and I respect people in the teaching profession. It is an honorable position.
Yes.
There are many good teachers.
Particularly today.
But they're being
And what they have to go through.
Honestly, they're being fed misinformation by the special interest groups, and some of them are buying it. I mean, I commend Mike for what he's doing in terms of this Tobash plan. If we don't do something, we are in some deep doo-doo. And what I can tell you is, the critics, there's a group that doesn't want to do anything. They will say that Act 120 will work. We just need to give it more time. They don't want to do anything. There's another group who don't think that Mike's plan goes far enough. And I believe that Mike's plan is a compromise plan. We recognize that 120 has made some differences. There have been changes in terms of new people who are coming on the job in terms of teachers and state employees. There's a number of changes that have been made, and they're helping. I view Mike's proposal as being the second step. I think all of us admit that down the line we may have to do something more, but we need to do something, and Mike's plan is what
Sam, let me just add something. And again, go back to the frustration that teachers have. I mean, a lot of that comes from the fact that they made their contributions over this period of time. But in 2001, there were under Act 9, there were benefits that were increased retroactively. So they increased the benefits to current people in the retirement programs, okay? Then after that, in 2002 and 2003, there were votes made by the legislature at that time because the program were adequately funded. And they chose, those votes caused them not to fund the program properly. And then a downturn in the financial market. So what we're trying to do right now is to thoughtfully make a change for new people coming into the system moving forward. We're not blaming educators. But what we're doing is trying to get a grip on the problem.
Yeah, and
And
I
it's
think
not just teachers, it's all state employees. It's everybody.
There's no question about it. It's every state employee.
And there's a lot of state employees. You have the liquor store. I mean, everybody in there. I mean, the liquor store employees, they get paid a pension. You have, I mean, there's a lot of different employees.
I agree that these people who worked hard, they should be getting their pensions. Let's talk about taxes. On a broad base area, Corbett did not raise any taxes on a broad base area. But we're looking at 108, now I saw an ad here, 188% increase in personal income if a Wolf comes in. He's already said he's raising taxes, okay? We don't know where
He seemed to be all for it in the debates, like just broad-based, if it's sales tax, personal income tax, and you have to watch what you're going to put on the back of the working man. It's
So
scary.
here, another concern is, and we discussed this with Dan, I discussed it with the governor. People think the gas companies are not paying any taxes, okay? And I don't know, again, they're paying way more than we're getting in. Anyone could, who wants to comment on that? Jerry?
Well, no, I would be happy to comment. I mean, interestingly enough, I was at a breakfast meeting in Berks County, and there was discussion, and before when we were sitting at the table, I had one of the business people come down, really jump on me about all the taxes, corporate net income, capital stock and franchise, sales tax, about all these taxes. And he was saying, you guys are taxing us to death. You've got to do something. And then a little bit later, the moderator asked for a show of hands of who supported the a severance tax on the gas, on the wells. And this guy's hand goes up. And I went looking for him afterwards, and I said, look, you want to put another tax on the Marcellus shale industry? They are already paying every tax that you are. They're paying every tax that you are. We're getting jobs. And the thing that kills me is, not that this is bad, but there are many industries that we give incentives to come to Pennsylvania and create jobs. They didn't ask for anything. All they want is a fair share.
I think one of your points is that people have the perception that the industry is not paying anything. Well, Act 13 of 2012 put an impact fee on the industry, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is collecting about $230, $250 million a year from the drillers. It's generally going into the areas that are impacted, but there are environmental funds that go throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So there is money being generated from the industry. And as Representative Knowles has said, they pay all of the other taxes that businesses pay in the Commonwealth, plus the impact fee. And the discussion now surrounds a drilling fee, a severance tax that's based on the amount that they're withdrawing. And I think it's reasonable for a lot of people, a lot of legislators, I think, would be in favor of some level of a tax, coming from the drilling, a severance tax. And that remains to be seen. I can tell you that as we move forward, and not to always bring it back to pensions, but there's going to be a need for additional revenue. We've got to reduce costs, but to get out of this...
Let me make, as a businessman here, when you start giving people tax breaks and you start making your energy costs reduced and you give me incentives, I'm keeping my people employed. But make my life miserable. Keep on taxing me, keep on harassing me, keep on doing this. Then eventually I say, well, you know what, Sammy and Janine and Debbie, we're moving to New York with our business, or we're going to move, okay, because you're making my life miserable. We've seen the results in the last 4 years. Manufacturing is increasing, unemployment's down, okay, and things are happening in the state of Pennsylvania. But come in and always want to hit the guys that they're paying their fair share, but make their lives miserable, then you see what happens.
Overtaxing any business is not a great idea.
Folks, we'll be back
And
right
we
after.
are competing with other states.
Sam Lesante Show, folks. Remember 24/7 SSPTV.com. My email, sam@ssptv.com. You can watch all of our shows. Any of you who have any comments about the show, please email me as soon as possible. Wrap it up. We got a minute apiece. Tarah, why do you think this election, November 4th, is important, and why are you supporting the governor?
I think it's important because the people out there, they need to come to the voter booth, they need to make decisions, and it does directly impact where we're going, where the state of Pennsylvania is going, what kind of jobs we're going to be able to have here, and how your taxpayer money is spent. Right now, we're trying to reduce from 41% of every dollar goes to welfare. Right now, we're trying to have better jobs in the Commonwealth. So we are working on it, and I mean, anybody could come in and say, hey, I have great ideas. We're going to make it better, and just say something very broad. We're going to make it better. Well, people do want to make it better, but in politics, I think the devil you know is better than the devil that you don't know. And it's very scary to make a decision to switch horses here when we're going in a direction. We have positive results. So you want to stick with something that you know where you're going. So it's important.
Representative Knowles?
Yeah, well, Sam, what I would tell you is I believe that Pennsylvania is headed in the right direction. I think that that we're on the way in terms of controlling our spending and controlling our taxes. I think that we need to continue on this course, and I have grave concerns. And it's all about policy. And quite frankly, whoever gets, you said people need to get out and vote. And I want people to get out and vote. I don't care if you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, or you're an independent. Get out and vote. It's a very precious right that we have. And we need to get out and vote, and people need to make a decision. Do they want to continue on this course, or?
Thank you. Representative Tobash?
Thanks. So we have to continue down a path of balanced energy policy in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I mean, we absolutely need to do that. We need to continue down a path of increased job creation. We need to balance education and businesses and make sure that we're connecting those two as thoughtfully as we possibly can. We need pension reform in the Commonwealth. I've got to tell you that it is so important that we stop handing out debt with every high school diploma for the future of our public education and the citizens of the Commonwealth. These are the themes that have been talked about and worked on for the last 4 years, and I think we need to continue down that path.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks to the three of you for coming on the show. Folks, the three of them, Representative Toohil, Representative Jerry Knowles, and Representative Tobash, unopposed. Not good for me in advertising, but unopposed. Means to tell you something, folks. They're doing their job. $4.2 billion debt, they inherited, they got rid of it. Took unemployment 8.1%, brought it down to 5.7%, probably lowest in the United States averages. Took energy and reduced energy. How about our gas prices? We hear about they're the lowest they've ever been. That's why it's so important for you to get out and vote for the person. Check their records, not the nonsense that you hear. We'll see you next time.